Welcome to the Piece of Me podcast. This is your space for all things peace, positivity, and finding balance to live your best life. Life gets busy, and at times it's messy. I'm here to help you clean things up and put peace back in its place. I'll share tips, ideas, interviews, mindset shifts, and fresh perspectives to help you along the way. If you missed your chance to win a coffee on me during Free Coffee Fridays, well, you're in luck. I still have a discount code for you. The Piece of Me podcast partnered with Java Sock to give a handful of listeners an iced coffee Java Sock and a free cup on me. I drink iced coffee year-round and just rotate the coffee creamer flavors to keep it festive and fun. If you didn't win the contest, you can still score a 10% off discount by using my code LEXY82172. I'll put this code in the show notes of this episode below so you too can keep your cup cozy through the season. Hi friends, it's Lexy Leigh. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, then welcome back and thanks for coming back to the podcast. Today's guest is unique. Let me tell you how I found her. As per usual, my partner and I couldn't agree on what we should watch on TV. I prefer real-life shows like documentaries, reality TV, or anything as close to real life as you can get. My guy? Well, he likes everything but that. Now, one show we can always agree on is House Hunters International. This is the show where people purchase a home in a different country than where they live. This is how I found today's guest, Amanda. Yes, I saw her on TV while I was sitting on the couch one night. Now, Amanda is from Canada and was looking to move to Mexico by herself to live her best life. She's also an entrepreneur who created a business to help people build their self-esteem. To me, she was the kind of person who should be on the Piece of Me podcast. So I took a chance and reached out to her. She said yes, and then we spent over an hour chatting. Now, there were a few unexpected twists and turns in her story that I really didn't see coming. She shared why she has a speech impediment. She talked about her childhood trauma and following her passion. And she also shared that her episode on House Hunters International wasn't her first time being on TV. Her journey is quite amazing and very inspiring. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, you know that I love these conversations. I'm excited for you to hear part one today, and next week I'll share the second half of our conversation. Oh, and if you want to see the house Amanda picked out in Mexico, I'll list the details in the show notes below. All right, let's take a listen. Hi, Amanda. Welcome to the Piece of Me podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me here, Lexy. I feel very, very honored. Thank you.
We are so excited to have you. And some of our listeners just heard the introduction. So very fun story here. I'm so excited to connect with you. But first, can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
My name is Amanda Welliver. I live in Ajijic, Jalisco, Mexico. I'm a Canadian from Western Canada. I'm a self-esteem specialist, speaker, and author, and I'm living my best life in Ajijic, not Ajic, Ajijic.
I love it. And that's like the slogan of the Piece of Me podcast. It's all about finding the peace, positivity, and balance for living your best life. So when I heard you saying this when you were on the show, I said, yes, we have to have her. We need Amanda on this podcast because she's going to represent all the things that I believe in too. Tell us a little bit more about kind of the decision you made. You did make a huge life decision, which is why you're on this show. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was?
Well, I always knew that I love nature and trees. I'm a very spiritual woman. I believe in God very, very much, but I've always had this connection to flowers and trees. And when I went to Mexico, they have these biggest trees you've ever seen in your life. These eucalyptus trees that make you feel small. And I'm 6 feet tall, and I felt like I was just so small. Anyways, my first trip, when I went to Mexico, it was the people. They were just like me. They live in the now. They're happy. They smile. And if you have your health, if you even have right now, you are so blessed. And that's how I live. So many of us we are working so hard for the future, and we're trying to save, buy, you know, for this future. And it's the one thing that we don't have for sure. But what we do have for sure is right now. And the only thing that we are in control of right now is our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, temperature. And when I met these beautiful people in Mexico, they do the very same. And I had gone back and forth. I counted like 28 times. And every time I was gone, I never wanted to come back home. There was something about these people that are just like when I went to my first all-inclusive resort, my first thought was, man, how much do they pay these guys? I mean, they're so smiley, they're so hospitable. They actually care if my drink is okay. It's not just, how's your drink? You know what I mean? Like, and they asked about me, and that's what I do. I like to get to know other people. And the longer that I stayed, I never wanted to go home. And I went to Mexico for the beach and the palm trees and the warm weather because living in Alberta, Canada, in central Alberta, our winters are not exactly fun. I mean, they get really cold. It is cute and cozy for 6 weeks to be inside and have a hot cocoa and to be around the fire, to be in layers in your sweats, and it's like with your partner and it's cozy and it's snowing outside. But then, too much of anything is like, all right, enough. And uh I would stay for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, then 6 weeks, then 8 weeks, and I still didn't want to go home. And then COVID came, like everybody, right? Everybody had a huge paradigm shift as soon as COVID came. And I lost my entire speaking business. I mean, I was in stage 4. I mean, there wasn't a conference to be heard, to be seen. Thank goodness I was good with my money. So, but COVID was a long time, and I had to learn how to host my self-esteem and mastery class online. And I thought, this is interesting. Because my dream, it sounds funny, but my dream was to work from a laptop. Every time I saw anybody work from a laptop, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. You just open it, you shut it, and you walk away. Like there's no prep, there's no, office and commute and everything else. Like all these mortgage brokers at the resort sitting around the pool with their laptops and, oh yeah, I just need to do an hour's work. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. And when I decided to develop a professional online mastery class, I just didn't want to do Zoom. And when it was done, and I went down to Mexico for 8 weeks, and I did not want to go home. And I said, that's it. That's it. My soul is happy here. And what makes me the happiest is here. And because of the big trees are alive 12 months out of the year, that they're not sleeping, they don't look dead. And I love grass, vines, because everything's alive. But in Alberta, you look outside and everything's sleeping. And I felt I never realized it, but my soul was sleeping. But when I was around nature, I was exuberant. I was more positive. I was happy. And when you're outside, I just feel it's really good for your mental health, even if you're just sitting outside. I just believe we need to be outside more. And, And so it just hit me, and when it hits you, like it's a non-negotiable. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to live my best life. I'm done. I'm done. I don't care what it takes. I'm a specialist. People book me if they still want me. I do what I do because I love what I do. I will come back on my schedule, and people can book me when I'm back in Canada, and I'm going to live here. So I just said, whatever it takes, I'm going to do it.
I love that. And you mentioned that you visited Mexico 28 times before you actually said, okay, you know what? There's a reason it keeps pulling you back there, but it was 28 different trips there that you said, okay, that's it. I'm staying here. I don't want to go back. So 20, that's quite a bit.
I started going to Mexico in 1997. Uh, and I went to the Cancun side. I started just like many people do. You're attracted to the all inclusive because it is pretty incredible. You have one price airfare, somebody picks you up at the airport. You don't have to cook, you don't have to clean your drinks, there's activities, and it is a wonderful way to just relax because you're
Mhm.
just, like stress free. But I'm not a person that just wants to sit around the pool all the time. Don't get me wrong. I love sitting around the pool, but I can't do it every day. And yes, and then I went to the other side, to the Puerto Vallarta side, and because I
Mhm.
heard it was very different because of the Pacific, and lots of people said, "Oh, don't go to that side because the beach isn't nice." But one thing I noticed is on the Pacific side, you have the rainforest. So you have the ocean, and then the rainforest is right there. Whereas in Cancun, it's a beautiful beach. It's turquoise water, but it's flat. So as soon as you look away from the beach, there's nothing else to really visually look at. So, and then I was raised in Vancouver, so I was raised by the ocean. Um, but I remember going to the Pacific in the month of September. Wow, if you've never experienced hot weather and humidity, that is a shock and a half. I mean, you're just living in a steam bath. And that was like just before COVID, and that was when I was like, oh, maybe I can't live in Mexico because I don't like feeling like a sticky, like you don't even want to touch yourself. You just don't touch me. You're having a shower 3, 4 times a day. Your hair's up in a ponytail. If you could, you would walk around naked, because you just are, it's so uncomfortable. And then I did some research and I found Lake Chapala, which is an hour and a half inland from Puerto Vallarta, and they're 5,000 feet above sea level. So they don't get these steam baths, and these steam baths last not we're not talking a month, we're talking May 15th to October 15th. So I thought, what is the point of me moving to Mexico if I have to be indoors for 3 to 4 months? I might as well just stay in Canada. So this beautiful little village, um, I went there, tried it out last year, a year and a half ago, and I said, and then, I also like to do tons of research. I'm a research freak. I love, because I mean, you can't make up your mind on a big thing like this without doing a lot of research. And you really have to ask yourself, if in order to live your best life, how do you want to feel? What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? What do you want to eat? Who do you want to be around? So I believe to live your best life is not just one or two components of that. To live your best life, if you can have 5 out of 5, that is living your best life. And I know that many people can't, and I know how blessed I am, but at least try to get 3.
Mhm.
Um, Push yourself to live your best life, but it takes work. And the funny thing is that you'll always have people who I say in my workshops are called Must Be Nicers. Must be nice to live in Mexico. Must be nice to be able to just to get on a plane, and must be nice to work online. Must be nice, must be nice. And I found the perfect answer for them. You
What's
can
that?
too. You can too.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that, right? It's all a choice. Everything is a choice.
Exactly. Everything everything is a choice, but the action of your choice is the most important. You can make a choice, but we have too many people in this world that just talk and talk and
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
and talk. And those are the ones that are usually the must be nicers because they just talk. And I've never been that way. Uh I really care about my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Not just for others, but for myself. And that was a key component when I started my self-esteem business in 1999, was just saying, hey, if I'm going to send an invoice, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to look into this and find if we can do that, I always do it. And if I didn't do it, even though I even think that they forgot that I was said that I was going to do it, I would still send an email saying, just to let you know, I'm still looking into blah 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 blah. Because I really believe it's a very important way to build respect from others, but also to build and to maintain inner respect as
Mm-hmm.
well.
And a lot of times people will say they're going to do something and then they don't do it or they don't follow up on that. So I'm sure people appreciate when you just kind of let them know, hey, I'm still over here. I'm still working on that thing, or I haven't forgotten you, or whatever it might be. But so you're more
Mm-hmm.
about the doing. And I think that also ties in with you moving to Mexico because you didn't just daydream about it, you made it happen. So you're a doer. I love that. That is
Yes.
so cool. That is so
Thanks.
cool. So now how long has it been that you've been, I mean, you're going back and forth between Mexico and Canada, but how
Mm-hmm.
long have you now had, I guess, residency in Mexico?
I have had residency now for a year and 2 months.
Oh, congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank
That
you.
is so cool. That is so
Mm.
cool.
A lot of people get scared with that part. They think, oh, I don't know how to figure all that out. I wouldn't know where to start. But that's what holds you back from living your best life. I mean, like, that's why I believe and I know self-esteem is such a crucial component. It's the main foundation to be able to live your best life because then you know that you deserve it. You
Hmm.
deserve it. And that you have the capabilities because you have confidence in yourself. People who do not have the ability to be- believe that they're good at anything, then they lack the ability of self-worth, being able to speak up, because there's a lot of speaking up. You like there's a lot of research. So you got to go and talk to people that you're not used to speaking to. I just know that I would not be living the life that I am without the self-esteem, without the healthy self-esteem that I do have. So, I mean, we're given one life.
Yeah.
We're we're not given two. We're not given, oh, we can come back. Oh, you know what? Next time I'm gonna do that. Next time
Hmm.
I'm gonna go there. Why are we waiting? Why are we, if you really want something different in your life, why are you waiting? Like, and then that's the key though. You have to ask yourself, that's what I ask a lot of my clients. We feel very good when we see a counselor or a therapist, and they are trained to ask you questions. But the most prolific part of that is you sitting there and finding the answer. And when you find these answers about yourself, we feel, oh, that felt good. Yes, because we're learning about yourself. You are being forced to answer something about yourself. If it's negative, positive, weak, whatever it is, you have to ask yourself and then you have to answer yourself. Why have I not still set up that guest bedroom? And then every time you walk down the hallway and that guest bedroom is like, whoom, whoom, that eats away at your self-esteem because you are disappointed in yourself. Okay, why have I not dealt with that a room yet? A, I don't want to. Two, I don't even know where I would start. Three, there's things in those boxes I are from my past that I don't want to see, and really think about it. As humans, we don't realize how emotionally strong we really are, but we don't give ourselves that we don't give ourselves that chance, because a lot of us, we live through our self-confidence, and your self-confidence is very different from your self-esteem. Your self-confidence is something that you're good at, but your self-esteem is your worthy, how much you feel like you're worth, how much you speak up, and it's your emotional price tag. So if you don't feel worthy, the action comes from the confidence. So if you know that you're not doing something, the best thing is just to own it. Because I'm lazy, I'm exhausted, the kids this and that, because I just don't want to. Even saying that is like, at least I own it. The more stuff that we own it. And also stop looking at the biggest picture. Don't think of the room finished. Open the door and open the box that's right there and deal with half a box and then leave. You know what I mean? I always say we need these peacock moments where we're just like, where we feel proud of ourselves. And I do feel very proud of myself that I moved to a different country. I didn't think I ever would. It was very intimidating. I always say there's like, in my book, I have the 3 bad eyes: intimidated, insecure, and impressionable. And that is what holds back so many people. But the 3 good S's: special, strong, and selective. And that's where I live my life, is being very selective. It's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you open up a menu. I want that. I want that. Oh, I'm never having that again. Oh, I'm not doing that again. Oh, I want lots of that. And that's how you live your best life. You read your menu. You pick, you like that, you like that. Oh, heck no, not going there again. You know what I mean? But you have to learn, and you need to do from your mistakes as well.
Absolutely. I love that. Right? And now, what's the name of your book? You just referenced your book. So what's the name of that?
It's a textbook. It's called How to Love Yourself as Is.
I love that. I can put that in the show notes so people can, if they're driving right now and they're listening to this podcast, they can go and reference that.
Because it is the best gift that you can give yourself, is having the ability to love yourself as is. Like I'm 6 feet tall. I'm Dutch and I am Ukrainian. I'm big boned, and I was always ashamed of being tall and big. And I always say, put your fingers around your wrist. If your fingers overlap, you're small boned. If your fingers touch, you are medium boned. If your fingers don't touch, like mine, you're big boned. That's just who you are, A, B, or C. And I used to be ashamed because, in the 80s and the 90s, being big anything was just awful. Yeah, but boy, I tell you, man, naturally, am I strong. I mean, wow, you better look out, But
I love it. I love that. No, I think that's great. And I think too, to your point of, just being different body types, because I did do an episode here on the podcast that was just really all about accepting the number that was on the scale, because the truth is that we all have different body frames and genetics, and some people are naturally smaller, some people are naturally whatever, it's just we're all and we're fighting. Sometimes we spend so much of our life fighting against who we are and how we were born and how we're built, and it's like we're wasting this precious time to go against the grain of who we are. If
Well
we could
said.
just accept it, and then it's like, my
Hmm.
gosh, you can go on and live your best life because you're not wasting all this energy on trying to be somebody you're never going to be. That's just
Exactly.
my 2 cents.
Well, that's very valuable 2 cents because it's absolutely the truth. Because you cannot live your best life if you're constantly wishing and comparing yourself to somebody else. You will never live your best life if you can't find internal peace with your physical self. I mean, we are so complex. We have physical self, we have emotional self, we have spiritual self, and there's this constant um comparison. And I know it's easy to say, and for you to say, right? Not to look at another person and go, man, I wish I was like that. I wish I had that. Or I wish I had a car like that, or I wish I had long hair like that. Yeah, but we have to stop looking at what we don't have because the world teaches us what we don't have. I mean, when was the last time you saw a television commercial advertising that couch that you already have? No. But we
Mm,
live in this world where we always newer is better. And I say, you know, if you, first of all, if you have a couch, you're so blessed because so many people are sitting on plastic chairs or on earth. They don't
yeah.
have a couch. The one thing in Mexico is that the poverty is very, very high. But when you see their faces, you would never
Hmm.
guess the joy, the life in them. And I had once a Mexican family invite me into their home. They were so poor. And I was just walking back. So I like to go and walk and get to see culture. And they were so poor. There's, you know, chickens and running around, which is a big thing there. Not my favorite. Waking up to roosters definitely takes getting used to. But life is not, I mean, it's not always greener on the other side. Anyways, this Mexican family invited me to come in, and it was the humbling of humble. And the family, the love of this family, there was 8 of them, and they brought out their dishes that were mismatched, chipped, cracked. The father, he brought out this guayaba. It's like a fruit that is
Hmm.
unbelievable. Oh, and it was a really big one. And I guess they're not usually. I didn't know, but he was
Hmm.
so proud of this fruit, and
Oh.
they cut it and they shared it with me, and he served me first, and thank goodness I had a cell phone, so I was using a translator, and they just thought that was unbelievable. They just kept staring at the phone like, wow. And the things that they asked me was, what is your name? Where are you from? Are you happy? That was the
Oh,
third
wow.
question that he asked me. Are you happy? And I said, yes, I am. I'm very, very happy. He says, are you healthy? And I said, yes, I'm very, very blessed to have health. You are blessed, and life is beautiful. Isn't life beautiful? Look everything. Look what we have.
Oh.
We have friends, we have family, we have food. Today is a beautiful, beautiful day. And I was just like, ay, 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 and
Mm-hmm.
they're the third world. No, 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 no. There's a lot of it
Mm.
where they're the first world.
Very eye-opening. When you reference the couch, that the couch you're living on, you're not going to see that in a commercial because you're right that it's all about what's the latest and greatest, what's the latest iPhone, or what's whatever it is that they're trying to get you to buy. And it's
Mm-hmm.
true. It's we feel like we have to acquire things to be happy, but I love that as you're saying, like they're bringing out their chipped plates and they're probably so happy to have you there and
Oh,
learn about you and oh, I love that story. Oh my gosh. So,
even thinking about it, I goosebumps because the authenticness of the humanness of the interaction of just enjoying the company was beautiful, happy and health, you know. And I just have to reference what you said about the iPhone. I just checked into a hotel 3 days ago, and as I put my phone down, I was signing my check-in list, and the front desk, she said, "Oh, so you have the iPhone 13?" And I said, "Yes, I do." She goes, "Yeah, I have the iPhone 14. See, I only have two cameras." And I said, "Oh, good for you if that makes you happy." I said, "I'm very
Right.
happy with mine, you know." And I thought, and I had only been in Canada for like a week and a half, right? And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like,
Wow, just day and night, right? Just such a different world. Oh my gosh. Isn't that? Speaking of cell phones, I'm an Android person. So I've had a Samsung, I think it's like I don't know, it's like a 5 or 6 or something. It's so old, it barely works, but my bill is cheap, and that's why I hold on to it because I don't want to have this, crazy high cell phone bill. And everybody makes fun of me. They're like, when are you going to get rid of this phone? And I'm like, "But when it's time, it's still holding in, it's still hanging in there. I'm going to hold on to it." So,
good for
oh my
you.
gosh, that's too funny. So speaking of obviously the amazing people that you're meeting in Mexico, is there kind of a best or a favorite part since you've moved there? And maybe what's kind of been a really hard part about moving to another country like that?
There's many, many bests. You know, it's kind of like asking me what is my favorite food because I don't just have one. I'm such a foodie. Um, some best parts is honestly being able to walk my dog Piper 12 months out of the year.
Mm,
And like I said, I'm such a nature person, but the birds in Mexico are so colorful. Um, Being around the lake and the mountains and I can't believe I live by a volcano that's far away, which it
hmm
can stay over there. That's far enough. You know, you're really nice to look at, but please keep sleeping. Um, but I have met so many people like me that are doers. Like anybody that you meet there, you're so like-minded
mm,
because we've done the same thing. Like being
mm,
an expat or a gringo is what they call us, tourists from Europe or North America. They are the same people. So you just connect really, really like faster because people felt the same. They said, I want this more. So what do I have to do to make sure of this, right? So one of my really good friends down there, Pat, unbelievable. I mean, she blows my mind. She went down there. The second time she was down there, she purchased property and yeah, like I went
wow.
28 times and here she is going the second time and she's bought a bought a condo in Puerto Vallarta, went back, sold her house, sold her car, and she had a job where she could work 50% in person and 50% online. And she just felt like I feel alive. I feel so alive there. And I want to feel alive and not like I'm just existing. So she did, and she had been with her company for so long that they said, okay, you can work 100% online. Um, I love the food. Okay, I mean, here we go. I mean, I love food, but I'm seriously like lettuce, lettuce has flavor. Like
Really? Even I didn't know
right?
that.
Like
Yeah.
lettuce has flavor. And the the servers they always laugh, when people like us when we get down there first we're like, "Wow, this salad is so good. It has flavor." And they're like, "See, like yes, but they don't
No
realize that everything that we're eating doesn't taste like that. And because I was traveling so much um, in Canada, there's drive-throughs everywhere, everywhere. And I pour 110% into any workshop, any speaking, any conference, and I'm depleted.
Mm.
And there's drive-throughs, so I was eating and not eating well.
Hmm.
Even if you try to order a wrap, I mean, whatnot. But when I was down there, I wanted to eat salad. Like I'm like I want to eat a salad. Like that just doesn't do, like wow. The food, the fruits, the vegetables are
Mm.
like in Lake Chapala is an area where they grow the most berries in Mexico. So Dole and Driscoll's are there. So all the berry farms are there. And then we have these berry farmers everywhere with um, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, mandarins. And then there's the um, pineapple farmer that comes in his Mexican truck that you look at that vehicle and you think, how is that truck even running? I mean, it looked like it went through World War I and World War II, but you know, it's loaded with pineapples and then the watermelon. You know, 2 weeks ago I bought a pina pineapple for the conversion for Canadian was $1.80.
Wow. For the whole pineapple, and it's as fresh as can be.
Oh, yes. And when I come back to North America, I say, I'm going to eat well. I'm going to do it. And then I get here and I'm like, ugh, yuck. You know, I'm like, oh, and I don't want to. I already don't want to, you know, um, eat as well. So that was a big thing is I wanted to lose weight. So I've already lost 88 pounds living down there. And because you're not only eating better, but I'm moving, I'm
Wow.
physically active. And I think when you're eating better food too, like we're told, or organic, you just feel better.
Hmm.
And some of the different frustrating things is it's kind of funny because we always say, "Oh, there's so many rules here. Oh my gosh, you can't build a house unless this is approved and that's approved, and you get a building permit and then you need this permit." But my word, I tell you, I mean, the way that they do electrical in Mexico, it would give you a heart attack. I mean, the duct tape or the electrical tape, because everything's concrete, so they can't go in the walls. So there'll be wires, and then they just you know t- take off the ends and put some electrical tape, and then just leave it.
Oh,
F-
wow.
I mean, I came from a neighborhood in Canada when they installed fiber optic, where the company had to spend you know $1 million digging in the earth to put it under the ground and make it nice and pretty, right? In Mexico, are you kidding me? Fiber optic, they just, you know, hook up your house. It runs on your roof, runs on to the next house, and whatever's left over, they just lasso it and throw it up on the, not, yeah, on the electrical poles, and that's it. I mean, and I had a contractor come and he had to do some welding. This was like my first month. First month he had to come and weld some broken um a window bar. And he literally took out this little, I guess, because my dad calls it a hobby welder. It's like, I don't know, like a box, like a shoebox.
Mm.
And he takes this cord. It's raw. It's a raw red and a raw positive negative. And he walks up to my electrical panel in the house and just shoves those raw wires right into one of the connections and just starts welding with no mask. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, what are you doing? And he's like, okay, like what, and that's just what it is. So
Yeah.
there's some things for the safety of the people, I wish there was more rules and regulations because there really isn't. There's so much danger. You see them construction workers building a high rise in Puerto Vallarta, and you know, there's no safety.
Mm-hmm.
There's no safety harnesses and stuff like that. And things are done extremely slow. But I found out why things are slow because
Hmm.
families first. Families first. So if you have a contractor who said he's coming over for 1 o'clock, if his cousin's vehicle broke down, he it you do not matter. It money, that job is second. They will go and help their family immediately. And they won't
Hmm.
rush at it. They will make sure that their family member is picked up, that has a ride. Then they'll have to try to help him with his vehicle. And when he's done, then you might get a message saying, I'm on my way 5 hours later. Um, or you just say, no, it's okay. Come mañana, tomorrow. And that happens a lot. They don't chase money like they do here. There's no such thing as reputation, professionalism.
Hmm.
So, yes, there is, but if anything happens with their family, they're number one. And they work 6 days a week, 1 day of rest. And I have to add, that's probably one of my favorite things is going out on Sundays and seeing these beautiful, big Mexican families of 20, 30 people spending the entire day. They're having picnics, they're playing ball, there's no iPad.
Hmm.
They are playing Mexican checkers, dominoes, you name it, like anything. It's pretty, it's beautiful to see, and they make time for family and God. They go to church, and then the rest of the day is with family. And I think we have a lot to learn from them.
I think so too. That reminds me because so we're recording this episode in the summer, but I've been kind of taking a little bit of a digital detox because it's true. Like you can just get so buried in your phone and social media. And, if you work with a screen from home with your job, it's like, we're just so that's where we're used to that, and it's for me, I have to have like almost those little checkpoints of, I gotta take a break, or
Mm-hmm.
like people go out to dinner, everybody put their phones down or leave your phone in the car because otherwise, it's such a habit to pull out your phone and, maybe you're just taking a photo, but then all of a sudden you're checking email and you're checking your text messages and then you're disconnected from the people you're with and you're not
Mm-hmm.
enjoying things. And so I love that. I think that's really cool. And it's interesting, how you said they don't chase the money there. It's about families and families are first. I
Mm-hmm.
really like that. So let's kind of I wanted to ask you about you were on this show, House Hunters International. So you have some notoriety with being on TV, which is very cool. So how did you get to be on the show?
Um, well, it was actually one of my favorite shows. I've always been a real estate Snoopy person. I always love those real estate shows on HGTV. And I like to watch things that inspire me. So I don't like to watch horror films because I know what it does to our subconscious. And I don't know why. And I respect everybody, but I don't want to be freaked out. I don't like to be scared. I just don't. So I decide to watch things on television that inspire me, that are positive, that are funny. There's some really good stuff on it if you look for it. And I really loved House Hunters International because I was thinking about it like for a long time, many years, like, but it was like, oh, I wish I could live here. Oh, I wish that this could be my everyday life. But that show, shows people moving to different parts of the world, and some of them have never even been there. Like they've never
Mm-hmm.
even visited there. And those people, I salute you, salute you, salute you. Um, but because I need to know, I need to do research. I need to see if, okay,
Me
I
too.
can do that, right? It's like, it's that's wow. And they I was living in Puerto Vallarta, and I saw this ad on Facebook. Have you made a life change? Have you moved to a different country? And I'm like, yeah. And I messaged them, and I thought this sounds a lot like House Hunters, but they don't say it at first. They're very picky. They're very selective of who they choose to come on the show. And I'm so busy. I'm very blessed to be busy. And I came back to Canada for like work, and I went back, and then I found a new, I was looking for rentals, and they reached out and they said, they did some research on me, and they did some research on the area, and they had never filmed in that area ever. They had never ever done an episode in that area. So half the crew came from New York and half the crew came from Mexico City. My girlfriend from Puerto Vallarta, Pat, she came with me and on the show. And I get a lot of attention already as it is in small towns, or I've won some awards and people recognize me. And but I tell you, going down town square with a television crew, you know, now all of a sudden these Mexicans are like, who is this lady?
She must be famous.
Oh, it was just, I'm so humble. I'm just quiet. I just like to do my own thing, and it's such a small area there that you know everybody. So, and then take one, take two, take three, right? So it's not just one take. So then all of a sudden there's people, like a big audience there that is watching us, and I was just like, oh man, like, oh gosh, I don't know. I was just yeah. And then sure enough, the next time going to go walk to the market. Hola, TV lady. Hola, TV lady.
Oh, how cool. So were you
Yeah.
surprised when the show, like so you had answered a Facebook ad and when the show responded back to you, were you kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on TV. Like this is happening. Was that kind of a surreal moment or were you kind of expecting it?
I've been on television before. I've been interviewed. I've been on panels before in Canada and whatnot. Um, I don't know why, but I wasn't shocked by it. I looked at it as an opportunity to inspire others because as I shared with them, I said, the people in your show has helped inspire me. Like if that couple can move to Dublin, Germany, and never been there, and I've been to this place 20 odd times, I can certainly do this. And it's such an old expression, but it's the truest of true. Where there's a will, there's always a way. If
Mm-hmm.
you haven't cleaned that room in your house, then your will is not there. Well, why? What is holding you back from your will? And I have a self-esteem a recipe, and you can't make most of anything without flour, rice flour, almond flour. I don't care if it's gluten or not, but you need a binding agent. And my emotional answer is honesty. You need honesty. So that's my number one self-esteem ingredient, because it was very hard for me before to be very honest with myself, because I used to hate myself. So it took a lot of work to get here. A lot of people say, oh, you live the best life, you live the best life. You can too. Like, I went through a lot of trauma. I teach from a changed heart. So I have a speech impediment because I lost my speech. Um, because my self-esteem was stripped away from me, that I didn't even believe that people wanted to hear my voice. So I didn't even believe that I deserved to have a voice. I didn't even believe that I could even speak up. And I know that the actual methods that I did, I've been so blessed to help thousands of other people get through their stuff, to get through their monkeys, that kind of stuff. And that's because we don't give ourselves the ability to be honest with ourselves, and to and then to answer it, and then to work through those answers. And my childhood and my teenhood was so dark, was so exhausting, that I have just strived to live in light and happiness. So I think when you come from a place of trauma, and not knowing and never being happy, that when you go to anywhere and it makes you that happy, I'm like, I want to continue to feel like this. What do I have to do? But there's that word again, to do. Like, you have to do it. And a lot of people will listen to your amazing podcast, and these people obviously are listening because there's a part of their surface, there's a part of their soul that wants more out of their life. So, kudos to your listeners, because hey, you know what? I'm going to pick time out of my life and listen to this, because I know it could be good. It's inspirational, instead of listening to other podcasts for something else. I mean, even just listening to your amazing episodes, there's so much do in those that people can do it too. I mean, look at you. You obviously love what you do, and you had to do it, right? So in order to live your best life, you have to do it. But stop making excuses and do it, because otherwise it's just not going to happen.
I hope you're enjoying this episode. Next week, I'll share the second half of my conversation with Amanda. You won't want to miss what else she shared with me, so come back next week to take a listen. Okay, friends, before you go, please rate this show. Your 5-star rating allows this show to reach more listeners just like you who could benefit from the topics being discussed. I appreciate you joining me. Follow the Piece of Me podcast on Instagram and stay connected.